Sports Talk. I'm your host, Enrique Aledius. So, we're going to get a little into what just happened on week 13 of the NFL slate. A couple big things happened this past weekend. Lamar Jackson got hurt. Ravens win against the Broncos. So, this one's pretty interesting to me how, I don't know what happens to the Ravens now. I mean, I think basically right now, the John Harbaugh mentioned how it's not season ending. So, that's the diagnosis on that one. It's going to be interesting though, right? They barely made it past the Broncos with Tyler Huntley. Who knows how long Lamar's going to be out, right? That's going to be something to look out for. I don't know if Tyler Huntley did play pretty well. There were a couple plays in there that were very Lamar-esque. I think he held his own, and I think over the years, even like a couple years ago when Lamar was out, I think it was that COVID year, Huntley did pretty well for himself. And I think there's enough trust within the Ravens organization that they can put on Huntley to carry the load until Lamar comes back. But I mean, I think the big thing too is this is Lamar's big year to get paid, right? And that's something I've been saying this whole year too, along with a lot of other people, is this guy deserves to get paid, right? This guy deserves a contract deal that he's looking for. And I mean, you would think that they would give it to him, that the Ravens upper management would give it to him. But this could also be a case where maybe they decide that he could be injury prone, which would be stupid and ridiculous, which would be a fucking joke if that happens. But, that's how sometimes owners and management could be in the NFL. So I hope it doesn't affect them in that way. Again, like John Harbaugh said, he isn't out for the season. He doesn't have a definitive timetable, but we'll see how it goes. And it's a knee injury, I think you mentioned in that post-game interview. So I don't know. We'll see. But man, that's such that's terrible timing, I think, for the Ravens to lose him basically almost 3/4 of the way through the season, and to lose him to Denver. That's a tough break for them. And I think what also kind of, a little worrying is that Tyler Huntley, he did win, right? Let's make that clear. He won, did a good job, but this was against the Broncos, and it was just by 1 point, 10-9. So, how are they going to stack up against a lot better teams? And let me just look at their schedule. Who did they have up next? So next they have the Steelers, then they got the Browns, then they got the Falcons, then they have the Steelers again. So it's not too bad. And then they end with the Bengals on January 7th. So it's not too bad. Again, that was the Broncos. So if they had that much trouble against the Broncos, Steelers looking pretty good. And I think by this point, the lines are going to be pretty big on the Steelers. I think they're going to be favored. I think the Steelers are going to be favored against the Ravens there. So look out for that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that is. I think right now, just after coming off of the game, and we'll see how it goes. But after watching that game and seeing how they played well enough to beat the Broncos. And they also came back too. It wasn't like they were leading the way. Even when Lamar was in there, that was a little bit interesting to me. I think that Broncos defense is really good though. Give them a lot of credit. That's a good defense. They just can't really get anything going. Fortunately, Russ and the offense can't get anything going a lot. So that should be really something to watch out for the Ravens as they move forward against the Steelers, Browns. But if you also think about it, so the Steelers probably they'll have trouble with. So they have to face the Steelers twice. Falcons they're kind of here and there, right? They just lost. Yeah, so the Falcons lost this weekend to the Steelers. That was also a close game. But the Browns are the ones where, this was a game, Deshaun Watson coming back. I don't know if he even plays. Well, I think he will play. That's wild to me. Jacoby Brissett has been so much better than what Deshaun Watson showed out there. So they may have trouble with the Steelers and the Bengals. The Browns, they maybe get a good win, get a win over them. I don't know. We'll see. I think that's a tough situation for the Ravens. They were just on a roll too, and for it to happen now, it's tough break, but hopefully by this time they play the Steelers the second time, Lamar comes back. So maybe Huntley will only have to play against the Steelers the first time, then the Browns, maybe the Falcons on Christmas Eve. We'll see how that goes for them. But just all around, yeah, tough break for them. And then another injury, that big injury that happened in the NFL here, is Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt for the Niners. This one was a season ender. That's just really, that sucks for him, man. I think that, you know, there was so much talk about them possibly, winning the Super Bowl and for sure making a deep run in the playoffs. I mean, look, Brock Purdy, like that he came in and he stepped in and I think surprised everyone. Played really well for them to be able to still hold off the Dolphins. Again, this was the Dolphins, right? This wasn't the Broncos, and this wasn't some, it wasn't like the Colts or whoever. No offense to them, but he had a bad game last night. But Brock Purdy was able to make it. Like, he was able to hang in there, and I don't know if he is the answer moving forward. Maybe he could be. We don't know, but I don't. I don't think he is going to be the long-term solution. I mean, they've got Trey Lance in the wings there, but comes in, steps in for Jimmy Garoppolo, and the game was still close too. Like when he stepped in, it wasn't like they were running away with it or anything like that. It was a close game, and so the way that that's going to work out too is going to be different. I expect to see a lot more Christian McCaffrey running the ball. Maybe use Deebo Samuel a little bit more, not really rely on Purdy to always make the throws, like the long throws and everything like that. But he did do a good job. He was able to keep them, he's able to win the game, but he was able to still keep that rhythm with the team. It wasn't like he was holding up the offense. And, there's some throws, of course, just him being, third string at this point. There's going to be throws that he missed here and there, but that was pretty good. I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit. Give him a lot of credit for stepping in there and kind of showing the team that if they need him right now, and I think they do, like he could be a starter. I mean, he beat the Dolphins, right? The Dolphins were going into this game. I mean, I personally thought the Dolphins would take it this game. They were so especially on that first drive too, right? They come in on the first drive and they just score. They just drive it down and score, and everyone in the arena is just like so like shocked about that happening. So it's a big win on them being able to take that win over the Dolphins. So that was good. That was good for Brock Purdy. I think that we'll see how they do next week and then the game, games following that and what they do there. But for now, Purdy's the guy, and that's the last option they got. I mean, I don't even know at this point who's the last person on their the depth chart there. He's already third string. Trey Lance, with being Trey Lance out, Jimmy Garoppolo just goes out. So we'll see how that goes for them. Now we can move on to the Giants and the Commanders. Man, this game was pretty crazy. So game ends in a tie. Nobody likes that, but it's almost fitting that the next game that the Commanders are playing against, they have a bye next week. Then the week they return is back against the Giants. This was a really good game. I think this matchup, like I know they mentioned the broadcast before. It's been a long time since they've had the Giants and the Commanders have had a really important matchup between each other. I think the last time they said was in like 2014 or whatever. But this game really was, a show of, they're like 7-5 Commanders, 7-4 Giants record. So they're right there with each other. It was one of those who just wanted it more, and I think it was very fitting. It ends in a tie. I thought both teams played really well. I think, Dan Jones rushed for a bunch. Heineke was right there with him, rushing for a bunch. Top players played really well. I think that it was one of those games where, like, we really saw both teams just hash it out between each other and everything. So it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it was a solid game between these two teams, and it ends in ties, but can't wait to see what happens week after next when they get back against each other. But it was good. It was a great game. Now let's talk about the Lions. I mean, are these guys like a team or what? Like, this is unbelievable that they're able to. I don't know, are they on a winning streak? They've won the past 2, 3, 4 out of the last 5 games. And I mean, and they were dominant against the Jaguars. That was 40-14. Unbelievable game played by the Lions all the way through. It wasn't like there was any point in time where they felt that, they might lose this game or give it up. That was absolute dominance by the Lions. I mean, credit to them, credit to Dan Campbell. I think that they all, like, they're starting to turn a corner, and I think they're all starting to really believe it, that they are, a really good team. And I mean, they hung right in there with the Bills. So I know people might like kind of roll their eyes at that, but I think the Lions are, at least right now, what they're showing everybody, they are a good team, right? They're not just playing passive. They play an aggressive style. They have the weapons. They have the offensive weapons to just keep coming at you, and they do. Like, they don't play like a lot of other teams. Like, Dan Campbell takes chances. He does things that not a lot of coaches do. Jared Goff threw for 340 yards this game. DeAndre Swift, 62 yards rushing. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a big game, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, this team is for real. And Jamal Williams had a touchdown too. He's always a factor in these games. I think he's 4th, 5th leading. He's not. I thought he was that higher up on the list of touchdown leaders. He's like 13th in rushing touchdown. Oh no, he is. So I'm sorry. So yeah, Jamal Williams is number 1 right now in rushing touchdowns. So that's big. That's huge for him and the Lions there. Chubb is number 2nd. Derrick Henry's number 3rd. So yeah, like, the Lions are showing everybody that they can be a team, and it's fun to watch. I'm happy for the Lions fans. This is a fun brand of Lions football to watch. It's kind of cool, to see the Lions have success after so many years of just like being not really good, So that's going to be kind of new to see now, and we'll see how long they can keep it up. I mean, there could be some doubts that, like, yeah, maybe this is just a couple of games where they got lucky, but I don't know. I mean, when they're that close to beating the Bills, they beat the Jaguars, and the Ravens last week lost to the Jaguars. Like, they beat the Jaguars by 40-14. This could be a new Lions team, so only time will tell here where they go. But I don't know. It's kind of exciting to watch. We'll see how they. Now we're gonna move on. I just want to talk about the Packers. Aaron Rodgers beating the Bears yet again. That's, for a season where Packers aren't doing too well, Packers fans can at least be happy that Aaron Rodgers still beat the Bears. He still owns them. At this point, with that win, they become the winningest franchise over the Bears. 786 wins as a franchise. The Bears have 785, I believe. I think that's the stat. But it was a good game, and too, like, that game, the Packers were down for a good amount of that game. I think it's all the way till maybe the half or the 3rd quarter. They started to kind of crawl back in there, but for most of that game, they were down. They were down by a bunch too. They're down by 2 scores. It was like 13-6, 3-16 at one point. I think that was the case, and then Christian Watson gets a big touchdown there. I mean, Christian Watson, I think he's going to be a guy. I mean, it's pretty clear right now that he's doing really well. And of course, everyone remembers that first game. He drops that long bomb by Aaron, and everyone kind of has their doubts about him. But now he's kind of proven over the last, 3 games or whatever. He's had, I don't know how many touchdowns at this point. I want to say at least 4. He's been really good. And he's going to be a guy, I think, that hopefully he is. I mean, it's kind of really early to tell. He has a couple of good weeks here, but maybe we can stay patient and just like let him do his thing. And of course, when you got Aaron Rodgers back there, of course you're going to make these good plays because you got him that can throw it to you. But I think, without Devontae Adams, that was a big hole that the Packers were missing. I think that, and it took some adjusting to get used to. And when you have, the ability now for Christian Watson to get open and him to be a reliable target. That also builds confidence with Aaron, and now he can use him in plays, but then also mix in the Randall Cobbs there without having to always be reliant upon him. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, all these people, like the flow. And I think that's also what's made Aaron Rodgers so successful too. I mean, other than just being incredible what he does, it's like he has the ability when he has weapons to play with, and honestly, over the years, he hasn't had a lot. Like he always makes players in front of him better. I think he makes his receivers better. He's that's I think the one of the great things about Aaron Rodgers is he is able to make players, incredible. I think people like him, Brady, like these guys are able to really make the receivers a lot better. And not that they themselves weren't good. Brady had Randy Moss and all this stuff, but bottom line, what I'm getting at is when you got guys like Christian Watson starting to come into its own, and now the void that Devontae Adams left, it's still there. You can't replace Devontae Adams. He's a one of one. That's bottom line. But I think when you start to just really see the weapons you have come into its own, now you can kind of form that identity with like within your team and offense and the scheme and all that stuff, and it puts a little bit of a reassurance, I think, in Packers fans that they're able to see, okay, this is what the future could look like, at least for the next year or two. If Rodgers is staying, I think he would. I mean, I don't know why he would go anywhere at this point. Just, I think him. It's only on him if he wants to leave or move on or retire or whatever that he can do it. But I don't think he's getting traded. But yeah, I think that has the it sets the tone now for the offense of the Packers. And of course, Randall Cobb being there and being able to come in clutch and be an option for Rodgers too is huge. And this win was big. I think overall, I mean, we still saw a little bit of the defense struggle against the run. I mean, the first couple of drives or whatever, Justin Fields just like ran right straight through. I think that was the first score. He ran right through, and that's a little concerning. I think if you're Packers fans, you're a little concerned that the defense still hasn't figured it out. I don't know, like, is that something that they're going to address? I think that you've seen it already, right? You've seen how the Packers, Joe Barry, like you've seen how the Packers, they weren't able to stop Jalen Hurts. They couldn't stop Justin Fields, right? Like this past year, I think their defense has been an issue. It's been the last year too, right? Like in the playoffs, they were able to put a stop on them. I guess it was more of a special teams thing, but it's just the Packers defense was, for a defense that was coming into this year, was touted as being one of the best, and then that was going to be their big weapon. It's complete opposite, right? They had their offense or their defense has not been what it was expected to be. That could be a concern for them. But yeah, overall, I think this team or this game was a good way to keep the Packers in it. I think that they keep their playoff hopes alive. The Bears, on the other hand, I still think that I feel good about the Bears. I like Justin Fields. I like the way he plays. I think he's a very, very, very talented dude. The way he can run that ball. I mean, it's him and Lamar up there, right? But like the way Justin Fields runs the ball, it's just like he is so. I guess what I'm trying to say, he knows how to really push defenders back, right? It's not like he's not predictable with a run, or and even when you do know he's coming, you still kind of can't catch him, and that's what's really impressive about him. But yeah, I think the Bears fans may be not happy that they lost that game, but there's still a lot to be happy about with their team. But it was a good game for them, good game for the Packers, good game for them to get the win on that one, and we'll see how they do. I mean, a couple wins, if the Packers can string together a couple wins here, that could be a really positive thing for them. They got the Rams next, and Rams have not been playing well. They got them in prime time next Monday. I think the Packers have a bye week next. That's on December 19th. But they got the Rams on that Monday, and then they got the Dolphins, and then they got the Vikings, and then they finish off with the Lions. That's kind of still a tough schedule, right? I think the Rams probably the easiest, and I kind of say that lightly, but the easiest out of those teams, because Lions now are playing really well. So we'll see how the Packers can do this. I think they can. I think there's a chance they can really just get these wins if they just string together a couple of these wins. I think they got to steal one with the Dolphins or the Vikings. The Lions, I think they really have to win that one, but the one that they really have to get, one of those two teams, the Dolphins or the Vikings, they have to get those. The race is going to tighten up, especially in the NFC there. So we'll see how that goes for them. But overall, right now, that was pretty good. And last I want to touch on is Joey Burrow, man. This guy, he's 3-0 against Mahomes. That game was, honestly, I think top. That game and the Commanders game, those are the top games this weekend. There were a bunch of good ones, but that was a really, I think to me, that was a game that showed that the Bengals are back. They showed why they were the Super Bowl contenders. They showed why this year they can definitely make a deep run for it. I was all around by the Bengals. Just a great game. They were able to really stop the Chiefs. There's something about the Bengals and the way they play that they can really stop the Chiefs there. Kelsey makes that mistake, has that drop, that fumble. I think that was a big catalyst for them to really get going, or not just get going, but to take over that game. Because after that, right, I think it was basically, you could tell the Bengals were just going to close that one out. Mahomes played well, probably not like his normal, usual. He had 223 yards, which still a really good game, but not his normal like 300 plus yard game. But the Bengals just were able to really put a stop to the Chiefs' offense, right? I think, so you had Pacheco and Mahomes went in for a touchdown. Outside of that, right, they were able to hold off Kelsey from getting a touchdown, Juju from getting a touchdown. These guys, Juju made a good catch. He played pretty well, but for the most part, right, like they were able to stop the Kansas City Chiefs core guys, and that's what you got to do, right? You got to do that against the Chiefs. That's like one of the only ways to beat them is to really attack them head on, right? I don't think you're gonna get away with beating the Chiefs if you let Kelsey score 2 or 3 times, and he can find a way to do that often. You're not gonna beat the Chiefs if you let Mahomes pass for over 200 or 320 yards or whatever. You got to stop them, and you got to attack them head on. You're not gonna somehow allow one thing, but then beat them, allow a lot of rushing yards, but then beat them in the passing game and score enough to offset what they're doing in one part of the game or the other. I guess that's my opinion. I just don't see, the Chiefs are just so good and well-rounded that you got to really stop them at what they're good at, and that's what the Bengals did. And also they were able to get offensive production on their side of the ball. Also Joey Burrow rushes in for a touchdown too. You need that, and T. Higgins steps up. Chris Evans steps up, gets a touchdown. Like, these are guys who down the stretch, the Bengals are gonna have to rely on them a lot to keep the momentum going. That was a great game. All in all, great game. Thought the atmosphere was really good. The crowd was awesome there. That was fun to watch, and I think that's gonna be a rivalry moving forward that we're gonna see a bunch of, and I hope we do see a bunch of. Joey Burrow against Patrick Mahomes. That's gonna be something to see, and I'm happy that Burrow was able to get the win, but I'm not at all worried about the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a really good team. Of course they have a good team, but I just think that this game to them is, not worried at all about the Chiefs. Zero worry at all. They got the Broncos next, and I'm sorry, the Broncos fans. I almost feel like next game you can count on Kelsey to score 2+ touchdowns against the Broncos, because he's probably not happy about that fumble that almost basically cost him the game. But I think I wouldn't pin it all on that one play, but it was a big play that helped the Bengals win it. So again, another good game there. It was a good weekend for NFL. I don't think it was gonna. And tomorrow or tonight we got the Bucks against the Saints. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not too sure yet on how that's gonna go. I'm hoping the Bucks will pull that off to keep themselves in the playoff hunt. But yeah, all in all, it was a good string of games here on a Sunday, and yeah, it's been an interesting season. So big go. Have it still good way to end up. Thanks for listening. This has been really quick recap of just a couple things happening on week 13. It's been Aledius Sports Talk, and I've been your host, Enrique Aledius. Catch you later.